Remember that popular TV ad where a young woman refused an affectionate gesture because of bad breath? It really drives home the point good manners and bad breath don't mix. In fact, they won't even get you very far. Now, oral health is key to living your best life, whether it is catching up with friends, enjoying your favorite dish, or showing off a confident smile. Your oral health is like your personal billboard. But there is the flip side. Conditions like tooth decay, tooth loss, or even oral cancer can rob you of that bright smile. Often the issues might be as simple as not getting enough fluoride in your water or skipping out on proper oral hygiene. And if you have got a sweet tooth, well, it's time to pay a little more attention. According to World Health Organization's report on oral health, 3 out of 4 people in middle-income countries suffer from some form of oral disease. But here is the good news. Most oral health problems are preventable and treatable, especially if caught early. So how do you keep that healthy and confident smile? That is what we'll be exploring on this week's episode of Health Options. Of course, we'll also bring you another special segment on Nature's Corner. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Health Options. I am Salwa Khalil Ibrahim. Today, we will dig deep into this simple habit that can help you maintain strong, healthy teeth. Whether brushing or flossing, it's all about doing them right. And yes, you really can keep your teeth for a lifetime. Our guest, a dentist, will be joining us shortly to share more insights. Joining me now is Dr. Akinyemi Olulade, a consultant restorative dentist. Many thanks for joining us, Doctor.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, now beyond what we see in the open, what does the teeth looks like from the inside?
Okay, the teeth looks, what everybody sees when we smile, we see that whitish or yellowish part of the teeth. But it contains the enamel. That's what everybody sees when we smile. And it's usually hard, the hard part of the tooth. And that's what is usually in the mouth. For children, we actually see it as whitish. But for adults, it might be yellowish or grayish. And it looks hard. It's always very hard because the outer covering of the tooth is harder than bone. So that is what we see in the oral cavity when everybody opens mouth. Now, there are different shapes and there are different sizes. The ones that are in front, they are shaped differently from the ones that are at the back. This is because of the different functions that they perform. For instance, the ones in front, apart from making us look beautiful when we smile and everywhere lights up, they also help us to bite into anything we want to bite. For instance, if I want to bite a slice of bread, I bite with the ones in front. If I want to bite probably apple, I bite with the ones in front. However, the ones at the back, where nobody really sees except I open my mouth wide for you to come and see, they actually help us to grind our food into smaller bits so that they can be mixed with saliva and they can be swallowed readily in a form that our body can easily break down.
Okay, so now what are those common tooth disease or decay we see around here?
The ones that are really common are dental caries or tooth decay. And a lot of times when people present at the dental clinic, they present because of pain. And at that point, the disease has progressed deeper than we can even imagine. So they present with cavities, and the cavities, if not taken care of, can progress to deeper cavities that affect where the blood vessels and the nerves are and causes severe pain. If not taken care of, it progresses into our bone and causes swellings. And if those wounds are still not taken care of, it can actually proceed into our chest, and before we know it, it can actually lead to death.
When you lose your teeth, can you recover it as an adult? And then now, what are the best way of treating some of these two diseases?
Okay, when you lose your teeth, they can't grow back. As against for the children, when they lose their teeth, well, they can still grow back because the baby teeth falls off and the adult teeth erupt. But as an adult, by adult, I mean from 18 years and above, when there is a tooth loss, it cannot grow back. But they can be replaced. There are different replacement options. There are the replacement options that you can remove and fix yourself. So you remove it out of your mouth and then you fix it back. Those ones are called removable dentures. And there are other fixed options. One of them is a bridge and the other one is an implant. The bridge needs to make use of the two adjacent teeth to act as support to replace the missing tooth, while the implant just makes use of the exact space where the tooth fell out from, and the implant is placed there, and then the artificial tooth is built over it.
Okay. Now, what are some of the causes now of tooth decay or tooth disease?
The decay normally occurs as a result of poor oral hygiene, the kind of diets that we take. When we take sticky diets, and then after we take those kind of diets, we consume sugars, unrefined sugars, and there is no proper oral hygiene measures afterwards. For instance, when we take sticky diet, what happens is that we normally have bacteria resident in our oral cavity. Numerous of them, different kinds. Now, when we take this sugar, there are some bacteria that love the sugar. So they start thriving, they start multiplying. And when they start multiplying, they act on that sugar and produce an acid. And as we're all aware of, our teeth are really hard. In fact, the outer covering of our teeth is actually harder than bone. Yeah. But when these bacteria produce this acid, the acid starts eating up the hard part of the tooth, and then it forms cavity on a gradual basis. It's not something that happens in a day. It's something that happens over a period of time. And when that happens, a cavity is formed in the tooth. Now, when the cavity is formed, initially there might be no symptoms. Then after a period of time, the individual might start complaining of things like, oh, I have sensitivity. Yeah. Anytime food packs, it shocks me. And if nothing is still done at that point, then it progresses to a stage where the individual starts complaining of pain that is so severe and causes sleepless nights. If nothing is still done at that stage, then it progresses to a point where there is swelling, there is toothache, there might be fever associated, and if nothing is done, the swelling can still progress to our jaws, to the throat, and before you know it, the person finds it difficult to breathe, and there might be loss of life from that.
Okay, doctor, we'll take a breather here. When we come back, we'll talk about how to avoid bad breath and then talk further on how to care for our teeth. Join us again.
Kuka, that's the name in Hausa.
That is call it Oshe.
In Yoruba.
Oshe, Igi Oshe.
Okay, so I know it's Kuka.
I am delighted to have you join us on Health Options, the program that not only tracks government policies on health.
The total cholesterol is made up of some components. The high density lipoprotein, which is the good cholesterol, the low density hypoprotein, which is the bad.
Cervical cancer, a type of cancer that develops in a woman's cervix.
There were opportunities for women to get screened for both cervical and breast cancer, maybe up to 30,000, but we'll be having figures of 5,000.
Welcome back. If you just joined us, you are watching Health Options on the NTA, and today we are talking about oral hygiene and how to keep those pearly whites in great shape with the help of our guest, Dr. Akinyemi. Many thanks for being there, Doctor.
Thank you for having me once again.
What causes bad breath? Some people say it's natural. Is that a myth or is that a fact?
There are different causes of bad breath. So there are the physiological ones and there are the pathological ones.
Okay.
Permit me to use our terms a bit.
Okay.
So the physiological ones are the ones that it happens in everybody. For instance, when we sleep at night and we wake up in the mornings, because we've closed our mouth for a long stretch of time without anything entering, what first comes out of our mouth can be unpleasant. Also, sometimes when we fast, you know, probably we have church programs or mosque programs, and then we decide to fast, and nothing enters our mouth for a long period of time. And we're not talking, we're not drinking water. When we open our mouth, what comes out of it would be a little bit offensive. But those are physiological ones that happen in every individual. Now, the degree differs though. Some might be mild, some might be more, but it happens in everybody. But the pathological ones, they are the ones that are caused as a result of something other than the physiological ones. For instance, people that have reduced saliva flow.
Allow me to come in there, Doctor. When you say pathological, is that natural?
It's not natural.
Okay.
It's a diseased state.
Okay.
So those that have reduced salivary flow, all of us have saliva in our mouth, but there's a certain quantity of saliva that we need to have in our mouth to keep our mouth healthy.
Yeah.
In some people, because of probably diseases or treatment or medication, this salivary flow is reduced. It makes the mouth dry. We call it dry mouth. So because of that, the saliva is not able to clear off probably the food residue that we've chewed effectively, and then everything accumulates and it can produce a foul odor. Also, there are some diets, some food that we take. For instance, garlic, you know, onions. There are some things that we chew, that we take, that if we don't clean our mouth almost instantly, the odor that emanates might be unpleasant over time. Also, cavities, when we have cavities on our teeth where food packs and we are not able to clean it adequately, those are also sources of halitosis. Then when we have some accumulations around the necks of our teeth, we call them plaque, we call them calculus. Some people call them tartar. But they are accumulations that have been long-standing around the neck of our teeth. No matter how hard we brush, we cannot brush off calculus. So we need the professionals to use our specialized gadgets to clean them off. If they are not cleaned off, they keep calling smells and odor.
So how often do you clean your teeth in that process?
Once the calculus is formed, there's no amount of brushing that can get it out, except you visit a dentist.
How do you know when it's accumulated and then you need to, is it weekly, is it monthly, or is it every day?
6 monthly visits to the dentist would be able to handle calculus. If you do a regular check every 6 months, that's twice a year. Yeah, so all those accumulations will be cleaned off. Even when they accumulate, before you come the next time, they can be cleaned off effectively. For those with underlying systemic conditions, they would have to visit their physicians to take care of those systemic problems. Because like, as I said, it's not coming from the mouth. It's coming from the system. Now, there are various people, experts, specialized in those fields. So they will treat them. And once they are treated of all those symptoms, then the bad smell would stop.
Okay. Now, a lot of medical professionals like you will say a lot of people don't know how to care for their teeth, especially when it comes to brushing. Now, maybe you can explain or in a way demonstrate how do you clean your mouth properly?
Okay. So we need to clean our mouth with toothpaste and brush. Like I said, fluoride containing toothpaste. Now,
okay, that in particular.
It has to contain fluoride.
Okay.
Because it helps our teeth.
Okay, are there toothpaste that don't contain fluoride?
Yes, there are. Toothpaste that don't contain fluoride in the market. There are. Okay. So we need to brush our teeth, and then we need to spend time brushing. 30 seconds is not ideal for brushing. So if I'm brushing, I'm spending about 2 to 3 minutes brushing. And I'm not using force. I'm using a medium tufted brush. I'm not using hard brush. We're using
I know that those people that will brush and brush, you know, the sound we scare you off.
Yes, some people brush so hard
that
it causes some other diseases, even for the teeth. But when we brush gently, and then we brush the teeth with the right brush and toothpaste. We're not brushing the gum, mind you. You're not placing your brush on your gum. It's the teeth. And it's been advised that you place your gum on your teeth and you roll it gently away towards the tip of your teeth. So I'm coming from my gum and then I'm brushing to my teeth. And I'm taking time to brush like that for all the teeth in my mouth, including the ones we call wisdom teeth, because a lot of people don't even push their brushes to the back to brush the last set of teeth in our mouth.
Yeah. Okay. Now, when you have something trapped in your teeth, a lot of people will say you'd rather use a flux to remove it as against toothpick. What does that mean? Is it right to use toothpick or, you know, flux to remove something trapped food in your teeth? What is the best way to go about that?
The best option is to use a floss.
Okay.
But in using a floss, there are different kinds of flosses in the market. There is one that you see that they have handles, and you see that even at the end of the handle is a toothpick.
Yeah.
We highly discourage those kinds of flosses because we prefer the ones, it's just the rope part, the thread part that we want to use. And what we want to use is that we want to slide it in between our teeth, and any food particles that we have, by the time we are sliding it out, it gently comes out with the floss. As against toothpicking, in which we are using toothpick to poke in between our two teeth, and we keep digging and digging. Sometimes it's frustrating to get the whatever food particles that have lodged in between out. And at the same time, we are weakening the support, what is holding the tooth to the bone. We call them ligaments. We keep destroying them. And then over time, food keeps packing, the tooth gets weaker. At some point, it might even start shaking, and you're causing a lot of harm to the tooth than good. So it's better to floss in between the teeth with dental floss that is waxed so that we can get out the food residue.
Many thanks, Dr. Ololade, for that insight and for coming on Health Options.
Thank you for having me.
Now, let's head over to Nature's Corner.
During the rainy season, what we experience much is people with aged people with common illness of arthritis, rheumatism, arthritis. They experience their pains, their crisis coming then. And for those who are sickle cell anemias, have different issues then. And for those who have allergy of maybe asthmatic patients, they actually experience all those attacks at that period of time. So for those who have this history of illness, please, what we advise you is you have to take up your home remedies that you're already used to. For those with asthma, please, what you do is get your ginger close to you. Make sure you are into ginger drinks. Make sure you take anything that has to do with your cinnamon. Whenever you're taking your water, don't make it just pure water like that. Just get your lemon inside your bottled water and sip it all the time. And make sure you are always hydrated so that you will not get dehydrated. Whenever you are taking those water, make sure you cut off from anything that has to do with cold things, generally. For those who have arthritis as well, you have to avoid taking bath with cold water. Make sure you take your bath with hot water and make sure you take your bath with a lot of steam so that you get yourself after all. Then you make sure you have your balms that you can use to massage your joints and also the body generally. For those who have maybe history of pneumonias or any history of asthma and so on, please just try and make sure you get this home remedy available in your house. For those who have their lemon at their backyard, this is a very good remedy. This can also help you. You can just have it in your bottle of water. You can be sipping much of water. When you have much rainfall and so on, make sure you are always hydrated too, because when you get dehydrated, it affects virtually all the thyroids or even the vocal lobe, where you can not speak much. You start losing your voice. You can cut it into two, then you put it in your bottle water. You can be sipping it, or you make sure the bottle water is a bit cool warm. Yes, when it's a bit warm, it's more preferable. And with this, the lemon also helps in terms of detoxification as well. It can help you in terms of detoxification, detoxify the lungs and so many things in the body. Then also, this clove you are seeing, the red clove, is very good. Is more like antibiotic. Yes, in nature, it's more of antibiotic. It has a lot of components and also some antibacterials that takes care of all those kind of small infections that come through fluid and cold and catarrh. So it can help you with this clove. You boil your water with the clove and also sip it. You make it like your tea. You can add honey. Adding the honey, it will give you a very good syrup that has to do with cough syrup. Yes, with this, you are good to go. You are against the cough. Cough cannot just come in anyhow. It's a very good antibiotic when it comes to any respiratory organs infections. Lemongrass, this is common in most of our environments. You can boil it on its own. Just the juice. You can even apply the juice on your legs where you have your aches like rheumatism, arthritis. It also helps for it. And we can also use it together with turmeric. You boil it together with turmeric. It's good to go like your tea. And as well, you can boil it with the clove and the ginger and also with the lemongrass. This is very, very good. And you can make sure once you boil it finish, make sure you sip the water. Yes, then you take only the fluid. It's like anti-detoxifier too. It detoxifies, and also it serves like a medicinal value for anything that has to do with fluid and catarrh. The lemongrass, you can have it in a bowl and hot water where they can take a cover for it. They can steam, yes, and just inhale it in. It's very, very good too for the children and also for the adults. For those who have it like a fever, the catarrh is coming up like fever. Yes, and maybe the chest is already highly congested, it's heavy already, you can't even breathe the way you are supposed to breathe and so on. Once you have that steam bath and you take the inhaling of the heat in, within 3 minutes, you'll feel free.
Remember, there are many options to live a healthy life, and one of them is by turning into healthy options. If you missed today's episode, don't worry. You can catch these and previous episodes of the program on our YouTube channel at www.nta.gov.ng. We'd love to hear from you. So send us your questions, comments, and suggestions. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.